being that different mills, which we'll have a look at in a moment, but that they mounted horizontally, and so a gearbox that turns that's involved in that to change the direction of the drive. And I've got the hydraulic HSD there because just to show that Mike Walsh, some of the testing that he did in a few years ago, compared the hydraulic HSD with the seed terminator in the field where he was riding along the back of the harvester, and he had some air seeder hose feeding down into the top of the mills, get them harvesting, and then they would drop a known amount of dyed seed in, catch it with a sock, and then and test it that way. So that's one way these mills are tested, and you can see the results there, 95% on the hydraulic HSD and 99% on the seed terminator. There's been other static tests as well, and giving pretty similar results. So if anything, the seed terminator seems to maybe have the edge on the others in terms of seed kill, but they're all up well into the 90s, it seems. We also have the Redicop that's come to the market now. I know that Marnie's joining us in the background today. If there's any questions, we might throw to you, Marnie, from Redicop. This is a closer view of it here, photo that I took. That's actually Beetle from Primary Sales in the background there. We had a group of Americans come out. We went to Wongan Hills, had a look at it. Once again, a combination of belt and shaft driving these. We've got a belt and we've got 2 gearboxes underneath each mill driving that. Great thing I think about these, and I don't want to spend too much time comparing the difference between all these mills. Ben might have a bit more of a go at that, but they come often, they don't have to be, but teamed up with that MAV chopper from Redicop. So a great sort of marriage there in my book, because getting that even residue spread is an important part of what we're trying to achieve by destroying weed seeds and spreading the residue back over the paddock. So there's the inner workings of the Redicop mill. So it's these sort of vertical bars. So that's what is called the stators. So these 3 rows of stators that remain stationary, and within that you have 2 rows of rotors and some flails on the inside. There's a closer view of the stators. You can see that one is just about worn through, and these are designed to be flipped over, and so you can wear out both sides and double the life of them with some tungsten coating there. And there's, from the Redicop point of view, that's looking from the inside, looking out. They're sort of chopper blades they've got mounted in there. There's the first point of impact, hitting the seeds, throwing them into that first row of stators, and then 2 rows of rotors. Now, each of the mills, those 3, have a similar process. So you've got the terminator on the top left there. They more have the screens, 3 rows of those screens, the Redicop at the bottom, and on the right, the HSD, which is also 3 rows of stator, but they're sort of more angled bars. And so all pretty similar to one another in, you could say, in one sense, in that they all have the 3 rows of stators, the 2 rows of rotors, and some flails on the inside. And then also just another sort of variation on that, seed terminator have brought out what they call their high capacity mill. That dog is sitting in it there, and that just has 2 rows of stators, and that is really aimed at if there are conditions where there might be blockages, so green sort of crops or anywhere where the capacity of the harvester might be challenged, you can swap out to those pretty quickly. It does reduce the kill rate of the weed seeds a bit, but if the show must go on, that's a good option. I really applaud Seed Terminator for this approach. I wonder if we might see it from the other companies as well, just as an option, maybe not, but as an option to keep the show on the road if there are conditions at which there are blockages. And then there's a 4th one that is being developed in Western Australia. The guys that make the Tech Farm chaff carts have also developed what's called the Weed Hog. Now the Weed Hog is a completely different setup. So those other 3, you could say, are relatively similar sort of principles. The Weed Hog is this approach here. You've got these 2 big barrels with sort of blades in them and a void in between, and they rotate in opposite directions to one another, and the weed seeds sort of get hit from the path of one set of blades into the other and back to the other. So not as high a percent control so far as the other mills, but a cheaper option. They're looking at being only $50,000 to $60,000, where the others are anywhere from $90,000 to $110,000 capital cost. So yeah, just a fourth option. They've had 1 or 2 prototypes. I think last year they're building a few prototypes this year, and we'll see a bit more from those guys later on. And so just before I hand to you, Ben, I'll just point out that with all of these things, it's not just about the seed kill at the mill end. It's this equation. We've got to get the weed seeds in the front first, and then we've got to keep them in the chaff stream and divert them into that tool. And then we've got to kill them in whichever harvest weed seed control tool we're using. In this case, we're talking about the mills. So a typical equation here, if we've got a mill that does 98% control, you know, for ryegrass, for example, we might get 75% of the ryegrass that's in the field into the front. That's a pretty good result. That's a roundabout average. If we do it really well, we can divert 95% of that ryegrass seed into one of the mills or whichever other tool, and then we kill 98%. So we end up with a total control of 70%. And the point being, if you did have a mill that is lower kill, like a Weed Hog or like a high capacity Terminator, for example, it's not really like you drop from 98 to 90. You're sort of dropping from 70 to 64% total weed seed removal. So still a drop, and we do want to aim for the highest percent kill that we can. But just goes to show that it's still worthwhile, even if we have to compromise that weed kill at the mill end of the deal. The other part of this equation is I just think that we've got a bit of room to move in improving those, getting how many weed seeds we get in the front and improving how many weed seeds we keep in the chaff stream, which is part of what our workshops will be about in the future. So I might hand to you there, Ben. Are there questions that have come in from there? Does having a mill on your head or affect the warranty with the manufacturer of the machine? Good question. I don't fully know the answer. Maybe I'll throw to Ben first, and Cam, do you know anything about that?
Ben here. No, I'm not sure about that. Sorry.
Cam, any comments?
So we got all ours done through our local O'Connor's dealership in Horsham, and it hasn't affected any of our warranty. So, but we got everything fitted there in the shop. So.
Might see if Marnie can give us any answers on that.
Marnie might be able to comment, and Ben as well. So I'll stop sharing my screen. I might hand over to you, Ben, and we'll talk a bit more about mills. You can show us a little bit about what you know. You did a bit of a field trip last year, or your last couple of years, haven't you? And gone and had a look at the different ones out there.
Yeah, we've been and had a look, Pete. Yeah, I suppose on just getting back to the warranty issue, I think in a lot of cases, as you know, Ben and Cam have both mentioned, in a lot of cases the mills are actually fitted by a dealership, so they're supported through that. I dare say that they've had the conversations with the respective manufacturers to make sure that you know, as long as everything's done correctly, that warranty isn't affected. But look, that could vary from manufacturer to manufacturer, so it'll be worth checking. And yeah, I'll be interested to hear what Marnie's got to say about that as well.
Yeah, Ben, if you want to speak, if Marnie,
yep, that'd be great. Let's wrap that up, Marnie, if we could, please.
Yeah, well, we're pretty good to go under the warranty side of things. Clearly, with the one brand on the John Deere banner, the Deere SCU version through the factory is fully backed and supported under John Deere's warranty. We adhere to John Deere's warranty guidelines, so the Redicop warranty fundamentally follows those same guidelines. So no issues there. I guess the reassurance with that comes the fact that they have ratified all the engineering all the way back, so that you know they are comfortable with the knowledge that we haven't compromised the harvester on the John Deere side of things, because the last thing we want to do is to have PDO gearbox unload or something like that. So that's all well proven, and to date, no dramas.
Thanks very much, Marnie. I appreciate that, mate.
Very good. Yeah, thanks, Marnie. That's great. So look, just a quick comparison of the various mills. We'll start with the vertical HSD, which, as Pete mentioned, superseded the hydraulic option and obviously gone vertical there. Look, these numbers and some of the data here is presented as a result of the work we did, as Pete mentioned, at the start of this year. And I would, I guess the caveat with that is that, you know, some of the things might have changed, particularly I know that all manufacturers have been working pretty hard on the design of their gear, and particularly the mills. So some of the mill costings may have changed. So so don't take this as gospel, take it as an indicative number. But you can see there we've got, there's about, at the end of last season, there's about 170 vertical HSDs in operation around the country. What do we like, and what do we think maybe could be better on these particular machines? High kill rates, easy to bypass the mill, and we've heard a little bit about that already. The drivetrain is really simple. I guess the caveat is, and we've got it in what could be better. It'd be great to see that belt removal or a dog clutch or something like that to make that a bit more simple. And I'm pretty sure that is in play from what I've heard. Service and backup was from all the manufacturers, from all the farmer owners we spoke to, said that the manufacturer was well supported through Macintosh. So that was pleasing to hear. Would note that, you know, some steering angles can be limited as a result of fitment, and there's no integration of the ISOBUS terminal for the controls for the IHSD. Look, again, I suppose take these with a grain of salt, because one of the things that there's a lot of conversation about is just mill wear, and I think it's got a lot to do with a huge number of variables, a lot to do with the kind of country, or how low you're cutting, how much sand or gravel you're putting through the harvester and eventually through the mill. You know, that sort of thing can wear mills out really quickly and prematurely in a lot of cases. So I've just got one example for each, just to give people a bit of an indication. But, you know, again, I'd be really interested after I get through these, just to hear from Ben, Cam, and Ian as to, you know, what their experiences on mill wear has been. Across the Redicop SCU, and we just heard from Marnie there before. They are those the replacement mill components are pretty expensive, but as we mentioned before, they can be flipped, so you can get double the life out of them. Compatibility with a 3-meter CDF system, which is important for some guys operating on those, with the addition of some ram collars, the steering ram collars. This is as of last year. There's about 20 in operation nationally, and I dare say Marnie might be able to update us on that, but I dare say there'll be quite a few more around this next 12 months. That's the same photo that Newman's put up earlier. Again, that one had done a lot of work and was ready to be flipped, but it does give you some indication of what they look like once they've been in action for a while, and some pretty interesting technology in terms of surface coating applications here as well, which you can see have done their job in terms of sustaining the life of those mills. So as we run through likes and dislikes, for want of a better word, certainly the integration of the Redicop is very, very neat into the John Deere system. And I have to say, some aerial footage that we took showed that the SCU paired with a MAV does a brilliant job of residue spread. As Pete mentioned before, is a really good. It's a really good marriage, and it works really well. Bypass is very simple. On these Deere machines, you just slide it back out of the road and you can drop everything down. Mills are flippable, as we've mentioned. I suppose it would be great to, you know, there have been some ryegrass figures released, I should add, and that's written there as what could be better feature. That data has been updated. It would be great to see some. I think there's an issue with the Australian ryegrass versus some overseas ryegrass, but I understand that's in play as well. So we'll be able to do some direct comparison. I know Pete Newman's been really proactive in terms of being or trying to facilitate that with all the mill manufacturers, and they've all been really cooperative, which is terrific to see. It'd be great to see, obviously, some options for red and yellow and light green machines in terms of availability and just expanding the options for them. And yes, there's a gearbox attached, but you know, we didn't hear of any issues with that over the last harvest. Onto the Seed Terminator. Again, Pete's mentioned the high flow, slightly lower kill mill option there, which we think is a great thing. There's about 150 of these in play as of last year, so certainly got some experience under their belt. Very low no load power draw. And what we're talking about there is the amount of power that this thing requires to run without putting any material through it. So that's something that gives you a bit of an indication as to maybe some design, and then that's been taken into consideration. What we like, high kill rates. Swapping the mills out takes about 20 minutes, so it's a pretty quick process. That said, bypassing the sieve, bypassing the unit to assess sieve losses is more complex, and it may require power stalls, all sorts of stuff like that, depending on, again, the machine it's installed on. Getting to the sieves is, again, difficult depending on what machine you've got it fitted to. And there is a pretty expensive gearbox hanging off the side of it. So, yeah, I suppose that said, yeah, very much a unit that has had a lot of smarts put into it and a lot of research and ongoing R&D. So that's one of the things that we quite liked about the Seed Terminator. Again, just to round it out, we've got an image there of Seed Terminator mill, having done quite a bit of wheat and having ingested a fair bit of sand and gravel. And I know that because it was my brother-in-law who yeah, gave that mill a fairly hard time. So he suggested that I might like to drive the header next year instead of him. But, you know, I think it's a bit rough. So, yeah. Anyway, that's all I've got there for you, Tom. If there's any questions.
I know we've got Ian Ruwalt with us today. Ian, you have a chaff deck. I just wonder if perhaps you might like to share a bit of your experience. I don't know if you need to share your screen, Ian, or whether you're just happy to talk, but I might stop sharing mine for a moment and just let you tell us a little bit about why you chose your chaff deck and what your experience has been.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Peter. Yeah, well, 2 years ago when we changed combines, we decided to opt for that because we looked at the chaff mills, but they seem to have lots of issues, and they've obviously improved in a long way, as we know, and I guess hopefully they'll get better. And so we run with the chaff deck. We found it worked really well. It's not the ultimate, but it works well. We've got a few side benefits. Obviously, we have a bonus when summer weed spraying. You get no dust when you're driving on the chaff, which is a bit of a benefit. They're pretty low cost to run and not much maintenance. So we found it worked really well. So yeah, and it obviously it doesn't get 100% of the seeds, but it does a pretty good job. There's a few slides there that probably show there somewhere.
How's that for you?
An operation. Yep. So yeah, so we had, I mean, talked to a lot of growers, and we decided that'd be a good place to start. And yeah, that's where we're at the moment. So, but down the track, we'll probably consider if these other systems get better and better, going down that way. Yeah.
Excellent.
So,
and I'm taking that you've got a fully matched tramline farming system, have you, Ian, to use the chaff deck?
Yeah, we have. So we're on a full tramline system right through 12.2 metres. And yeah, so we always go back on those lines. And over a period of time, as you keep rolling over them, they become a pretty hostile environment for those weeds. On our sprayer, we do have the ability to up the rates on those particular load. Put a couple extra nozzles in, or we can actually, with some systems, you can actually increase the rate. So just where you're doing that. I guess down the track, if it's got a really serious problem, you could actually make a berm up with just nozzles on that area and run over it that way too. But haven't got to that yet. So,
yeah, and we have seen that. We saw Warwick Holding develop that system. He calls it weed lining, where he just sprays 6 nozzles over 120 feet, I think, and sprays a higher dose of expensive herbicide on his tram lines, and then a cheaper herbicide over the rest of the paddock. Yeah,
so it's certainly got, I mean, what used to often be a problem area was in between the wheels. We're getting a lot of chaff and a lot of seeds, so it's actually moved them out of that area, which is probably more important than wider out. Yeah.
Yeah, and what are you seeing in terms of how weedy your tram lines are? Are they as weedy as you would expect, given how many weeds you're putting in there?
They are, yeah, but like I say, they're not growing that well in those areas. We do still sow them, but yeah, I mean, obviously, when you're doing tram lining, you're always going to lose some of those areas anyhow. Although most of the cereal crops now are going to be difficult to see where they are, but it tends to show up more in the legume crops there.
Yeah, thanks, Ian. If you've got any questions of Ian,
yeah, I've
chuck
got
them in the Q&A.
if I could. Yeah, in terms of the decks, any blockages in heavy crops, or what issues are you having? Anything at all like that?
Yeah, look, we have blocked them. It's usually when you shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
It's either too damp or the crop's not really ready to be harvested. Yeah. So mainly in canola, we get caught last year in some beans. We had too much stuff in them and had to desiccate them. So yeah, but that generally, yeah. I guess there is another option that they offer. You can put another roller with it, which will help separate that, but we haven't had to use that. But I guess the same with all these systems, still got to be able to separate one from the other.
Yeah. Hopefully we've got narrow windrow burning on the screen now. Narrow windrow burning, we're seeing disadoption of that, and probably for good reasons. And nutrient redistribution is a big one. Fires getting away is another one. But still a useful tool in our lower rainfall zones for a lot of our farmers. But really we are seeing people either moving to chaff lining to get away from just having to do all the burning, or and then the other thing I was going to mention, Cam mentioned the chaff lines building up. Some people are doing chaff lines for a couple of years and then putting a canola windrow on top of it and burning that to sort of reset it. So there are some sort of low-tech, lower-cost alternatives. But when we look at the cost, we do have to consider those nutrients. And windrow burning, if we look at the cost, particularly of potassium, can be quite costly. And probably the last one to just finish up on is the chaff cart. We still have chaff carts running around. Some people are using them and burning the dumps, but this is the big one now, is integrating chaff carts with mixed farms and livestock systems and grazing the dumps. Some really good figures from Ed Riggle in Western Australia showing us that we can get really good growth of sheep and improve sheep performance grazing chaff dumps over grazing just normal paddocks, particularly canola and barley and a range of crops really. And so the chaff cart isn't dead in the water, if you like. It's still a tool that we see people using in mixed farm operations. And the final one, the Glenbar Bale Direct, is pretty rare, but there are farmers that use it, and they use it generally to make more profit because they have a market for the bales. It does obviously do a very good job of cleaning up weed seeds, but if farmers have a market for straw bales close to the farm, that can be profitable. And my understanding is that Graham Shields is still inventing stuff, and his latest invention is a PTO drive for these things, which has made it even better again. I haven't checked that out yet, but I don't know if Ben White has seen that. But yeah, it's still out there, and people still innovating in that space. That's probably all from me, Tom.